We started as a pretty small operation, and now the solar industry has grown over leaps and bounds. At first, you would see a couple of solar panels every once in a while in Denver, but now pretty much not quite every house, but there's a lot of solar all around. Really came on this podcast to highlight the urgency of the need to install solar because there's huge pressure from the powers that be to stop any funding of clean renewable energy, keeping in mind the higher level mission that we're trying to accomplish, which is trying to grow a sustainable future for humanity, keeping the mission that what we're doing is really affecting people's lives in a positive way.
Hi, Casey. Thank you very much for joining me today on the podcast. Can you tell us a little bit about yourself and ARE Solar?
Hey, Chris, thanks for having me on. Yeah, my name is Casey Cole. I'm the president with ARE Solar. We do solar installation in the Denver metro area. We focus more on commercial installation, residential installation. We do batteries as well as operations and maintenance of solar systems. Pretty much everything you need with solar, we're the guys to call.
Is there anything specific about what ARE does that's a bit different from the rest of the industry? What's your sort of unique selling point?
Yeah, the solar landscape has changed a lot since I joined the solar movement, I guess. I've been in the solar industry since 2010. We started as a pretty small operation, and now the solar industry has grown over leaps and bounds. At first, it was just, you would see a couple of solar panels every once in a while in Denver, but now pretty much not quite every house, but there's a lot of solar all around. So what separates us is that we do pretty much almost everything in-house. We have in-house installers, in-house salespeople, in-house marketing, things like that, where a lot of other solar installers outsource a lot of their installation crews or marketing crews or sales or something like that. So we really try to focus more or less on the ground up and creating a sustainable business practice while installing a sustainable product.
So you've been with the business since 2010. You took over as president in 2023. What's been the most surprising part of that transition?
The most surprising part is that I'm the one in charge of the business development and marketing, a lot of the other back-end stuff that you don't really know about being, I guess, a project manager or an installer. Luckily, I've been a part of all of the different job roles in our company, whether it was sales, operations, maintenance, or PV installation. Like I literally started on the roof, and now through basically blood, sweat, and tears, became the president. So
what have you found like the most difficult part of that then?
probably time management and looking what the best time prioritization. I guess you can look at, there's essentially 4 different blocks of priorities that you need to manage: what's urgent, what's important, what's not important, what's not urgent, and trying to really focus on solving what the current problem is with the crew in the field, while also looking at further business development on what we're going to be doing 6 months from now.
I suppose there's a lot of context switching with that as well. It's difficult to keep track of all the different types of projects because you're constantly having to think about 4 or 5 different things every day.
Right. We have 2 to 3 crews going on around the Denver metro area, as well as trying to manage sales coming in, as well as my kids running around the house and different things like that. So really have to focus on the task at hand.
So you mentioned there that you're working on the marketing side of things. ARE's done from what I can see, some of Denver's most high-profile solar projects. Talk me through how you made those deals successful. Has it always been the case that you've had one specific type of marketing that's worked the whole time? Have you tried to shift things up as president and try new tactics that didn't work? Talk me about the whole process.
Yeah, it's marketing. It's a lot easier said than done. Now, our current marketing strategy is really based on developing our website presence and search engine optimization. It didn't used to be like that. The Google business profile is constantly updating its algorithm So when I came on as president, we actually have a really great SEO team that manages our SEO profile on the back end. But before then, we've looked into all sorts of different marketing platforms. Like for a while, we tried Instagram marketing, which didn't work very well, wasn't really part of our ideal client profile. We've tried Yelp ads. We've also tried Google ads. Another way people get solar leads is through solar lead services. And through trial and error, going through these different marketing strategies, turned out that these marketing platforms pit all the clients against each other. So you basically have to pay more money to get your ads out and have higher visibility. And in the end, once you stop paying that money, your ads totally drop. So for just a similar amount of money per day, we've really been investing in our SEO. With website presence, you're really building like your online equity so you can show up in more organic leads. So that's really been one of our main marketing strategies.
Yeah, it's interesting. Like you either pay through time or money. If you pay through money with ads, it means you don't actually have any assets at the end of that. But if you put in the time up front or money, if you hire someone to do it for you, the content,
Yeah.
whether it's on like the website or LinkedIn or Facebook, wherever it might be, you end up with an asset at the end of it. But as we all know, time's a bit more valuable than money. So it's always
Yeah.
easier to just turn on the ads and then just do it that way instead. You mentioned there was a bit of SEO work before you joined, but that you're focused on it now. Is that you've just put more time and effort into it?
It's really just trying to focus things based on a results basis. Empirical studies kind of show what marketing strategies really work. So, there's so many different types of marketing, whether it's online ads. I just did a local business spot on Mile High Living for Denver ABC7. We did a print ad in the Colorado Rockies magazine that we're currently in, even though the Rockies are like the worst team in baseball ever, almost. So there's also door knocking. A lot of roofing companies go out and send door knockers, kind of storm chasers, but we don't really feel like clients are, no one likes to be no one likes to have forced marketing in their face. So we really try to focus on people looking for solar. They'll be able to find us.
Does that local advertising work quite well then? Obviously not the
Um,
door knocking, but
yeah, I'm trying. I have a meeting next week to see what the retention rate is with lead conversions. So I didn't know much about marketing more than a couple years ago, but studied quite a bit of it in college and business and different things like that.
let's take a step back then. You mentioned couple of minutes ago about the ICP. How is it that you kind of dialed in your ICP? Did you do a lot of work in terms of interviewing them? Did you just research who your current clients were? Was it all about the case studies? Tell me a bit about that.
It's really just more about a kind of a gut feeling through business development. One of our main recurring customers is working with homeowners as well as builders. So we really like to make sure that we're working with general contractors to install solar on new custom homes. Obviously, our ideal client profile is, you know, 30-year-old multimillionaires. It's pretty easy, but also look to install solar for nonprofits and people who see that solar is a good investment and value for their home.
They sound like two quite different ideal client profiles in that case. Do you have kind of two separate types of marketing happening at once for the two different kinds, or?
It's tough to say. It's really more like a broadband approach, I guess. We highlight a lot of different clients through our blogs. So we have blogs about operations and maintaining your system through making sure if you have a solar system, make sure that you can maintain it through our repair work. If you're looking to add solar to your house, we have a lot of different options there. I guess we don't necessarily have a formula for it. It's really more on, I guess, lead qualification and putting it to our salesmen to see if it's a person that they want to work with.
You mentioned before that obviously working a lot on SEO and the sort of inbound side of things as opposed to the outbound side of things. As part of that, you started to do lots of podcasts I've seen. What is it about
Yes.
podcasts that feel different to you?
It seems like it's a better way to get your voice out to people who are interested in sustainability, who are interested in a certain subject, as opposed to, sending out a little TikTok video or having solar as a meme on Instagram or other things like that. I really can't stand social media, to be honest. I even logged into Instagram yesterday and I was like, this is way too much for me. So I like to make more of a human connection because, sustainability, interacting in the human environment is super important to me, as well as, making sure that our company operates in a professional and respectful level to all of our clients as well as our environment.
And I guess it's the kind of thing where it goes deep, right? It builds that trust. If you're just posting a 200-word thing on like Twitter or LinkedIn or whatever it might be, it's nice as a piece of value to people, but having someone listen to you speak for 30 minutes or so is going to create so much more familiarity there and so much more trust. Then it makes sense. And it sounds like your ICP is exactly the kind of person that would listen to podcasts
Right.
on like a walk or something like that. So, okay, that makes sense. I guess for you then, because you're a local company and you're trying to build all this trust in the marketplace, is it that you would like to start moving into different markets? Is it that you want to grow the company nationally? Is there anything like that happening? Or is it that Denver works for you and you want to build up your thought leaderships that locally you're more well known?
Yeah, that's a good question. I would say now I'd like to, I guess, building up thought leadership. At this moment, I really came on this podcast to highlight really the urgency of the need to install solar in the next 6 months, because there's, huge pressure from the powers that be to stop any funding of clean renewable energy. The OBBs literally changed, they cut off residential tax credit for homeowners, which, is literally they're just trying to kill an industry that, by the numbers, that's been growing leaps and bounds. Renewable electricity is the cheapest form of electricity that we can put on the grid right now.
Okay, real quick, if you're a sustainability founder and growth feels stuck, this part is for you. You're doing between 700K to 3 million in revenue. You've built something amazing, but growing it is just exhausting. Every lead comes from a referral, every deal depends on you, and every time you try to scale, something breaks. Your pipeline, your sanity, or even worse, your impact. The problem is you are too close to see the real issues. You're trying to read the label from inside the bottle. That is exactly what we help you with at Plucky Bamboo. We work with planet-first B2B companies to find and fix the hidden bottlenecks that quietly block their growth, whether that's unclear positioning, weak lead flow, or a sales process that just doesn't convert. First, we uncover what's broken. Then, if it makes sense, we build the systems to fix it, so you can scale your impact without burning out. We've done this for companies like Blue Banyan and Scrap, and after hundreds of conversations with sustainability founders and CEOs, I know where the cracks show up when you start to grow. So if you're ready to find and fix what's holding back your growth and impact, visit pluckybamboo.com to see how we can help. Okay, back to the episode. So talk to me a little bit about, obviously the solar industry is going through a little bit of a change right now. Obviously the ITC, the tax credits are getting cut at the end of this year. Talk to me about how that's affecting your company as well as the wider industry as a whole.
Yeah, they've called it the solar coaster for a reason. The solar panel market is due to volatility. It's an international market. Recently, with the IRA funding, it was created an actual price drop, created a way for investors to start bringing solar factories online. Some of the biggest solar inverter manufacturers, panel manufacturers are opening factories up in the US as we speak, which was part of the, stick and carrot portion of the IRA. When the IRA was passed, it's finally like thank God the US government realizes that fossil fuels are causing climate change. That's pretty much why I joined solar in the first place, to get, make my small impact in fighting climate change as much as possible. But now, they went through and cut off the residential 25D solar tax credit. So it's really a milestone event. That's really why I almost came on this podcast, to spread the word that if you're interested in solar, if you have a home and are looking into this sustainable technology, now is really the time to make your mark.
I'm like interested in your take on this then, because obviously you started in 2010, a little while back now in terms of solar and the
Right.
solar industry itself. So you got started in it
Uh-huh.
before the tax credits were a thing, right?
The tax credits used to be reduced. 30% was is pretty high I can't remember the exact dates. In 2019, it was 26%. Um, there was a plan for a step down of the tax credits. There always has been, even in the IRA, there was a step down. But now just creating a drop off is literally creating such market volatility. And as a business owner, it's very difficult to plan in the future. So now, as far as time management, I'm looking to, install as much solar right now, is also looking to see what revenue streams we're going to be looking at from now.
Yeah, for sure. I've spoken to a number of residential solar companies that are pivoting. It's either you go to commercial or maybe going to asset
Right.
management. Most of them can't do that, or you just go into straight HVAC or roofing. And it's yes, it's a shame. Like, no doubt about that. It means less solar is going to be installed on people's homes. Less people are going to have energy independency. It's going to be worse for the climate, all that kind of thing.
And it's such a pivotal time. It's like people saying the internet wasn't going to work, or it's like literally stopping the transitions from horse and carriage to cars. It's like literally one of the biggest technology transitions that, humanity's almost ever seen. And maybe when the tax credit ends, hopefully solar will become stronger in the end, because the other argument is that solar is not sustainable because it has so much government subsidies. Well, big business loves government subsidies. All big business is subsidized by the government. Agriculture, Wall Street, oil and gas. Solar is literally based on a free market approach with a small 30% tax credit to actual homeowners.
Well, this is the thing.
We'll see. We're not going
A couple of
anywhere.
decades ago,
So,
the solar industry didn't have the tax credits, and they had to build businesses without any kind of subsidies. And I think what's going to happen is this is going to make the solar industry more resilient. Those companies that do great work for their customers
definitely.
are going to continue to grow. And I think, yes, it is all free market, and yes, you're absolutely right. Fossil fuels have trillions of subsidies behind them. So for people to say that solar is not sustainable is a ridiculous argument to make. But I completely agree with you. I think the more solar we install, the quicker, the better, for many reasons. I'm curious about the mindset shifts that you've had to go through as you've become the president and as you've kind of grown the company. Obviously, becoming president 2 years ago, now all these changes are happening. The solar coaster is riding. What have you kind of had to go through personally to change your mindset?
Just a lot of, I guess, internal reflection and, meditation, really trying to focus on the moment and not look through, the highs and lows. I've also been part of like an entrepreneurial business group, trying to learn accounting and how business actually works, as opposed to, spouting off PV solar specs and stuff all the time, which I'm still doing. So it's really looking at, having a big picture idea while also making sure that our detail-oriented work culture is still being followed through with.
And then looking at the future, if everything goes right over the next couple of years, what does wild success look like for ARE?
Potentially getting into other revenue streams, maybe getting our guys up with more electrical apprentice work, potentially becoming, electrical shop, or also really focusing more on commercial work, I guess, trying to work with utility solar, installing as much, higher level commercial projects as possible, doubling our business growth, getting, I guess, healthcare for our employees, different things like that.
Yeah, it feels very much like, are you going through that same pivot that a lot of residential companies are going through, or do you already have enough commercial work that you can just kind of shift the work over to that side instead?
Yeah, we're planning on working into commercial in 2026. Our portfolio has always been, probably 30% commercial, 70% residential. We'll probably flip that 70% commercial, 30% residential. I don't think commercial is going to go away. There's still building guidelines, like energy efficiency guidelines. People still want solar, so it may not be as cheap as it currently is, but I don't really think the market is going to fall out completely. Just the tax credit won't go away. So we'll just have to make sure our internal operations are as clean and mean as they've been for a long time. So working remotely, we have pretty low overhead. With COVID, everything shifted to a digital working remotely type of landscape. So that really helps us when we have remote salespeople, remote operations managers, sales managers, etc. We already have an online database that our company's been working on that was developed in 2018. So there's a couple things going on behind the scenes to make sure that we're as successful as possible.
Final question for you, Casey. You've obviously ridden the solar coaster quite a lot. What has been most pivotal, do you feel, from making it all the way from boots on the roof to becoming president and growing ARE Solar?
I would say just keeping in mind the, I guess, higher level mission that we're trying to accomplish, which is trying to grow a sustainable future for humanity, keeping the mission that what we're doing is really affecting people's lives in a positive way, and kind of forget the necessarily day-to-day grind and make sure that we're grounded, in a higher level ideology of sustainability, more or less. That's what keeps me going, making sure that what we're doing is impacting people's lives in a positive way.
Casey, how can people get in touch with ARE Solar, learn more?
Yeah, you can check us out on our website, www.aresolar.com. We also have ARE Solar on Facebook, Instagram, but yeah, that's about it. Always here to answer any questions people have.
Cool. Casey, thank you so much for your time today. Really appreciate it.
Thanks, Chris.